Welcome to the live. This live has been a long time coming. I don't know who's out there who's going to be on the replay team this week, especially for this live. But you guys have been asking for this information, so this is officially my 1 year anniversary for being here in the Philippines. So today I decided I was going to go ahead and put out some information on what to expect, specifically coming to the Philippines, and also not only that, but what kind of mindset you need to be in. You know, everybody moves for different reasons. Hopefully it's not for a female, but it's for more than that. It's for your general peace. It's for other things that you're looking to gain, and it's not just because of women. So today I'm going to go over my thought process and some of the things I was thinking about when it comes to moving abroad, specifically why I chose the Philippines. And so we're going to go from there. Yeah. What's going on, Fearless? I don't know if you're available, man. So this is my 1 year anniversary. So I got to. I got to go through the pros and cons and all the little things about being here in the Philippines. I'm not showing any content. The content's been done forever. I'm going to start filming content this week, actually. I'm going to a dam out here and some other things. But a lot of the popular places have been done and redone, and there's way too many expats in here for me to have to literally redo it all over again. Why? So that's one of the reasons why I never really filmed a lot of stuff here, so pretty much this is going over my mindset, what the process was in my mind as far as wanting to specifically move here and the benefits of moving to the Philippines on, what do they call it? Geo arbitrage. Isn't that what they call it? Geo arbitrage? All right. So I'm trying to wait until we get a couple other people in the room. Thank you, Yanel, for dialing in, and also Fearless. I don't know where you guys are at. Are you guys in the Dominican Republic already? Are you looking to take that trip soon, or where you guys at right now? KC needs to be rebuilt. Nah, man. Nah, we good. And matter of fact, all we did was shore up the defensive backfield. We had to get rid of a couple people, unfortunately, because of contracts. But we picked up a lot of good qualified people on the defense, cornerbacks, defensive linemen. So I think on the defensive side, we're good. Unfortunately, I think on the offensive side, we need a little more shoring up. Mahomes is taking a beating. And I don't know what it is, but, I remember back in the day when Tom Brady was playing. And Tom Brady, man, every time somebody would even look his way or even glance his way, somebody literally would be, one of the referees would be throwing a flag, But when it comes to Mahomes, he's getting his ass wore out in the backfield. You know what I mean? Literally, he's getting tackled after the ball's been released. No flag. That boy be taking a beating and still keeps on ticking. So the fact that he has minor injuries from time to time is amazing to me, because that kid literally takes a beating and gets right back up with a smile on his face. Okay, so you guys are leaving in a couple weeks, so Fearless, we need to talk offline, man. We need to at least get a couple more lives, even if we got to do some recordings, man, so they can get used to us being back on. So in the meantime, obviously, you guys have seen me panel surfing. So I've jumped from one panel to another on different shows that I think are up and comings, and they basically are giving out decent information, great information, and they're a little more adult conversations, more so than a lot of the smoke. So if you've seen me on Charlie Chan TV, The Black Cleaner, and other shows, that's because I'm panel surfing while I'm waiting on my partner to make some time for us. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get started here in a minute. I wanted to get some people in the room. Hit the like button. Please hit the like button. All right, before we get started. But I'm going to go through my process and the things I looked at on why I chose the Philippines and how I've been doing. Obviously, I've been doing pretty good, for myself, if I say so. Nice little place I'm staying in. You guys are good to see my budget, and what I'm spending while I'm here. And we'll go from there. And then later on, I will open up the panel for questions. I'll be reading your chats. By all means, hit the like button. If you feel so kind as to hit the super chat button, I appreciate it. At least subscribe to the channel. And if you're a PayPal person, there's a little barcode over there at the top left. You can hit that and scan it. Salute, Globe Spinner. What's up, nephew? Racket Club. I see you in the house. And then the Travel Elitist, rebranded. Welcome, my brother. And like I said, a little later on, after I go through these slides real quick, I definitely will open it up and have you guys ask some questions and your input on different things and ideas of what you guys are looking to do in the future as far as expat life. Are you guys planning on staying out permanently? My whole idea is for the first 3 years I'll be here. I'm actually going back to Texas after this with a wife. Yes, I said it. And then after the 3 to 4 years to get her settled into the United States, we're actually coming back here to build a house. So no, I'm not building the house here first. I'm going to Texas and building the house. Then I'll come back here and build a house. So like I said, subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get into this. So, some of the things, I looked at when I started coming or thinking about coming to the Philippines is, comfort and basically being able to assimilate in that culture a lot quicker. And obviously the Philippines, being that they were colonized initially by Spain and then by America, English was one of their first language, or one of their languages they're taught. It's a national language beside for Tagalog. Now there's 270 different dialects in the Philippines. So depending on where you are in the Philippines, there's a whole nother dialect. My lady speaks 7 different languages, including English. And that's because of the different dialects. Her father's Visayan, her mom's Ilocano, then you have Tagalog, and you have other languages right along with that. She has some limited Spanish, French, and then English. So there's a wide variety of dialects when it comes to being in the Philippines. Thank God they speak English, because that makes me feel at home. How I came to the Philippines and why I decided the Philippines is, one, while I was in the military, Marine Corps veteran. I felt real comfortable being here. I've been to Japan, I have been to Hong Kong, I've been to a lot of different places in Southeast Asia, but I felt really at home here. And the people were very welcoming. And obviously you can say that, and we're going to get into that later. They're welcoming for a reason, because they're trying to get something out of you. And some of the things you even see here, the exchange rate, obviously our dollar goes a lot further now, and we're going to go through that as well. But I almost blended in here, actually, skin tone wise, whatever. A lot of people, even when I was just visiting in the military, they were speaking Tagalog to me like I was a local. I just felt like, people accepted me, and I felt welcomed, like I said. And then the cultural. This is a highly cultural area when it comes to Roman Catholic religion, as far as Christianity, marriage, family beliefs, all the old things that we used to believe in back in the 40s and 50s. It's 2026 and they're still doing it here. To me, that's incredible. Incredible. That even with all the social media and all the influences that people can use to get outside of themselves and their culture, this is still a huge root inside of the Philippines when it comes to family and the support of it. Now there's some other benefits. A lot of brothers like, getting married, why would you do that? You already been married twice. Why would you go down the road a third time? Well, one of the things here in the Philippines is, guess what there isn't? Divorce. There is no divorce that is legal in the Philippines. So are women using the system in order to get married to you, take advantage of you, and then jump out of a relationship if you're living here in the Philippines? Hell no. As far as they're concerned, marriage is until death. You can't get out of it. Now, for foreigners, there's a way for us to get out of it. But that Filipina or Filipino, if you're a female listening to this, nah, they can't file for divorce in the Philippines. They can file for an annulment, and that can take up to 4 years. And still the court could tell them, no, you cannot annul your marriage. So one of the things I'm going to tell you right off the rip, if you decide to come here, you need to make sure the Filipina that you're messing around with, she ain't married. I shouldn't have to tell you not to mess around with some of the ones that have kids, but you better not be messing around with one that's married and young. Because in some places, in some areas of the Philippines, it's still legal for that husband to come back and say he had a moment of, anger and decided to terminate you, self-delete or delete you. And that's legal here. So, while we might have owned the Philippines and while we might have ruled the Philippines up until the 40s, they still have some old school traditional laws that are still in play in certain areas of the Philippines. So you definitely need to tread lightly on who you're messing with while you're here. All right. So with that, let's get into the first area. Peso exchange. Now, I moved here May of 2025. So this is my first year. And in that time, you can see the variance in the peso exchange rate. When I first got here, it was 58 pesos per $1 American dollar. Now it's up to 61.45. So GR arbitrage, obviously your money is going a lot further here. Okay. And in this chart, you can see the exchange rates as far as, let me take that down, how much, if you're on a retirement plan, for some of you older guys, if you guys are looking to retire, what your conversion is, just on a simple up to $3,000. Obviously, you can double that up if you're making 6 or 8 or 10 or 100K a year or whatever. You can see that even at 3,000, you're making over 184,000. I don't know if you guys have watched some of these videos of Filipinos asking what is rich, what kind of man do you think, what kind of income. A lot of them will maybe say 30 to 50,000 pesos a month is something they would think is great. It's awesome. And as you can see what that breaks down to being, way less than $2,000 a month, on an average. So I actually literally broke this down over here as far as what percentile, even at 3,000 US dollars, you would wind up falling into the top 4 percentile. Top 4 percentile in the Philippines at a $3,000 a month income. So again, when you say you're an American and you're here in the Philippines, are they looking at you like you're made of money? Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm not going to lie about it. Because as we can see right here on the average monthly income of a Filipina, it's 21 to and as low as 18K. 18,000 pesos a month is all they make. And that's at basically about $300 if we round it up. Metro Manila is a little bit more. Obviously, the cost of living is a little bit more, especially housing and everything else. So it's about 28K. So at $3,000 a month, if you got that in retirement, there's no reason why you can't live a decent life, unless you're just throwing your money away. Average cost of a place could be anywhere from $200 to $300. I'm going to go down my budget here in a minute and show you how much I'm spending. So first things first, what's the exchange rate? Now you see it. Now you can see one encouraging thing, aside for the English, aside for a lot of the things that Americans have, they have here in the bigger cities. Now I live in a province, so province life is a little bit different. But if you're in one of the bigger cities, Makati, Cebu, BGC, some of those places, then you're going to have every creature comfort that you would have in America, you would have here, but at a way big discount. So that's the other encouraging factor. Here's my budget. Okay. So my budget, it's not that much. I'm telling you, for what I spend a month, I'm very comfortable. The lease on the house I have is a year-long lease. And initially I was a little under the wire as far as how much time I had to find a place. I was just coming out of my Airbnb, and one of the places I thought I had secured, she turned around and changed her mind, didn't want to lease it. So last minute, I actually wound up paying more for the place I'm in, but it's a bigger place. So I live in a gated guarded community out in a province, and my lease is $800 a month for a 4-bedroom house, 2-story. Okay. I don't know the square meters or any of that, but it's a 4-bedroom house, 2-story, and I pay $800 a month for that. Now my cable bill, 1,800 pesos, which converts over to $30. You know, water is about $1,500 or $24 a month. Now, electric is the one thing you're always going to run your ACs. There's 7 AC units in here. I rented this house, or at least this house, from an American naval guy. So at the end of the day, he had it as much as he could convert it over to an Americanized type of house. Aside for the contractors cutting corners like toilets, instead of having 4-inch pipes, they put 2-inch pipes in to cut corners, this, that, and the other thing. So it's not all the way up to an American standard, but he had it cooled off. Like if you lived in America, you had central AC. So every room in this house has AC. And even with that, I'm barely spending $195 to $240 a month. Now, I can tell you in Texas, and I think Fearless can tell you for a fact, I was running about $300 to $500 in a 2-bedroom apartment in America, especially in Texas. So I'm still saving money. And then at the end of the day, for food, my lady likes to cook. Sometimes I'll cook certain things and teach her how I cook certain things, and then she takes over. She wants to know my recipe so she can fix it all. Okay. But I only spend 12,000 pesos a month, and that's for like 5 to 6 kilos of chicken, a little bit of beef, maybe a lot of fish, and then vegetables and sides and stuff like that, coffee, you know. So normally it's about $195 a month. So in sum total, I'm only spending about $1,200 a month living here. My lease in America was no less than 16. In some places I live was 25. Just on the rent. Forget all the other things. So am I saving a hell of a lot of money? You damn straight I am. You are damn straight I am. So yeah, it's impressive, Iman, just to look at the numbers when you're actually sitting down looking at it, like, God damn, I really taking advantage of this. You know, I don't feel guilty though, but yeah, I'm taking advantage of it. So 64% of my budget is what? It's housing, because I want that comfort. And I actually, like I said, my owner of this house, he doesn't listen to my podcast, so I can say this. I told you I was in a pigeonhole, right? So I'm paying $800 a month. I told the guy, because he was trying to get me to stay longer. He goes, "Are you going to extend the lease? Are you going to go another 2 or 3 years?" I said, "Look, I'm trying to get her back overseas, so it's going to take a while, right?" So I said, "Look, I really kind of got forced into this amount of money, and I get it. I'm covering your whole mortgage. But nowhere in the Philippines will you catch anybody paying you $800 a month for this place. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how nice it is." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll think about it. But if I come back and say I want to extend the lease, it's going to be for half that amount, if not a little less." He says, "What?" I said, I said, "You need to think about it." I said, "I'll go $400 maybe on a renewal for the next year to 2 years, guaranteed, while I'm going through this whole process, or I'll move out." Now, what I used as logic was, look, you can either pay 100% of this $800 that you have to pay for your mortgage, or you can get it subsidized by $400, and I can stay here, and you know I'm a good leaser, and somebody's going to take care of your property. So you think about that for the next couple months until we talk about a contract that comes up in July. So I'm renegotiating this deal for even less than what I'm spending now. I'm gonna put another $400 at least back in my pocket to renew this lease after a year. And he understands that nobody else is gonna come here and be able to pay that full $800. So he can either sit there and eat that whole $800 on his own, or he can have it subsidized at $400, and he can pay the other $400 until he sells the place. Which right now, I can tell you in this complex, it ain't gonna be easy. He's listed this house several times. It will not sell, especially for as much as they want for it and as much as he's into it. So, yeah, I'm gonna take advantage. You're damn straight. It's the Philippines. So I will wind up getting that budget lowered by July by $400 at least, just on the house. And I'll probably stay here if he does that. So let's get to the next slide. Like I said, I'm not going to take long, but I'm going to go through this budget because I know a lot of people have asked me what's going on, how much are you spending, is it worth it? Okay. Yeah, exactly. LJ, you're right. I don't know what's going on with my thumb. $1,200 total. That's a mortgage. You're right. That's not your insurance. Well, maybe your mortgage got rolled in with your insurance and all that, but you still got to pay water. You still got to pay power. You still got to, feed everybody in the house, everything, all that goes along with it. So yeah, for me, just to be getting away with $1,200 total, yeah, I know it's a blessing. So, yeah, Paraguay. I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me, Style King. I haven't seen you do your budget thing for Paraguay, and I know you're considering, getting your residency there. So, definitely let me know how Paraguay is as far as cost of living. All right, so Philippine cultural identity. Why also was it encouraging for me to want to come here? I kind of touched on it when I first started talking about it, but Philippine cultural identity is rooted in faith, family, marriage, and long-term relationships. It's a fit for me. That's what I'm looking for. I've been through 2 marriages. Everybody that knows me, been on my show, I've never lied about me being married twice. I'm a 2-time offender. Now, each time I got married, I lasted longer. First marriage was 6 years. Second marriage was 9 years, 6 months. I needed to cut that off before 10 because I ain't trying to pay alimony to somebody that I ain't tight with. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely didn't have no kids with my second wife. So, and why is that more in line? Like I said, it's more in line with maybe the 1940s and 50s in America. One, because of how rooted they are in their faith. And they're so rooted in their faith. You know how America was established with, in God we trust. It was established by people of religion, right? But we got away from that. It's been corporated and basically privatized damn near all of America. When it comes to here, 78% of the people here are Roman Catholic. While marriages are high here, especially foreign marriages. You're looking at 14,000 marriages plus a year. So globally, a lot of men come here to the Philippines to get married. Okay. Some of the things that are ingrained in the Philippines because of their economy and everything else is your kids actually are responsible for your retirement. They don't have Social Security here. There's not really a huge Social Security base here. And if there is one, unfortunately, I don't want to say anything bad about the community, but it is a corrupt politician or political thing. A lot of money gets taken out of budgets directly. They don't even use PACs. They just take the money. So, unfortunately, the way the system is built, and that's why family is important and why Filipino families have anywhere from 7 to 10 kids like back in the day, right? We used to have families that were 13, 14, 15 kids. One, because of illness and everything else, it worked in the land, but also was to help take care of the overall family structure. and they have the same beliefs. So, your kids are somewhat responsible for the parents' retirement plan. You're supposed to support your parents. So marriage is one thing. Family gets involved. Her family has covered her. I met her father and mother. They were very welcoming. They have adopted me into the family. I pretty much have her dad driving the truck. I own a truck. I brought my own truck here. Not my personal vehicle from the United States. I brought a truck once I got here. I waited about 3 to 6 months. Well, no, it's been about 4 months before I bought the truck. Just one, I wanted to kind of temper her to see what she was going to do and how she was going to work around certain things and leverage certain things. And I didn't want to get her just instantly used to me just buying anything we needed, having access to that kind of money. Even though it was inconvenient for me not to have a vehicle, I still waited a while just to see what her reaction would be as I get her used to that. And that's one of the things I want to touch on. You're walking in some environments with women that are not used to that kind of volume of money and having access to it. So financial, fiscal responsibility. How were you when you first came into money? You blew that shit because you just weren't responsible for it. You didn't really have an inkling of, oh my God, if I spend all this money now, what's going to happen tomorrow? And one of the things Filipinos do not do is think about tomorrow. They only think about the here and now. Tomorrow comes when it comes. So to expose somebody to your income, to expose somebody to that level of money and not have some kind of stop gaps on those things, you're going down a road that you're going to fail 99.9% of the time. So a lot of the guys that come here and leave with their wallet, start throwing money after these Filipinas and not really bringing them in a little at a time, exposing them to a little bit. That's why they run off the rails. How you start is how you better finish. If you come here throwing money and flashing, that's the way you're going to have to finish or consistently be. You should never be leading with your wallet. By the way, Filipinos have been around Americans since the 1800s. So there ain't no game that you're going to come out here and run that hasn't been run already. You can't finesse these Filipinos. Matter of fact, they got more finesse game than you do. So if you try to come out here and lead with your wallet, one, you're going to get taken advantage of by the right Filipina because you won't find that right one. She knows she's pretty. She knows that a lot of men want her. And she's going to empty your wallet and go on to the next one. So while there are family values, notice this little warning down here that says not every Filipino family is exactly the same. I'm telling you this, they are not. Some will groom their children to take advantage of being overseas. You know the biggest GDP in the Philippines, beside for whatever they produce here? Remittance. Remit to. They have a huge overseas foreign worker program. A lot of Filipinos go overseas, work, and they remit to, send their money back to their families here in the Philippines. Same thing with Filipinos that marry Americans or French or European, whatever it is. They send a lot of money back to their families. A lot of baklaban boxes. If you don't know what those are huge boxes you'll see from time to time. People do little short videos on. They open them up and there's a ton of shit in there, from candies to different types of food. They love spam, all these different things. So you'll always be sending something back to the family when you're back home, because that's just what they do. They call it pasalobos. But that's what it is. It's just gifts that you give when you take trips. So at the end of the day, understand every Filipino is not the same. So it's going to take you a while to vet. I talked to this young lady for 1.5 years before I even showed up. Even when I showed up, a lot of guys were like, hey, have you gone to see your Filipino? And I got here in May. You know when I landed out here in the province? June. Second week in June. Why? Some of the things you need to establish is your roots. Get your resources set back up. So I'm going to throw that one up. So one of the things I did when I first got here, and why the other reasons why I picked the Philippines, is they have a huge VA system here between here and Thailand and other places where the American military has been here. We have bases here from Olongapo, Subic Bay to the old Clark Air Force Base, which is closer to Los Angeles City, where there's a walking street. So there's a lot of things that are already built in for Americans and especially American veteran expats to utilize. So there's a VA system. So while I was in BGC acclimating, and what we call acclimating in the military is getting used to the weather, getting used to the time change. There's a lot of things you get used to in an environment before you just go carte blanche crazy in it. And we used to do that even staging before we go into a battle. That's why even with Iran that's going on, best believe we already got troops in the desert that are what? Acclimating to the weather, acclimating to the heat, acclimating to a lot of things so that if they are called in and have to fight, they're not disadvantaged with that situation. So my mindset is the same way. I came in, went to BGC, stayed in an Airbnb for a while. And in the meantime, while I was there, I checked in with the embassy. I got into the VA system, got my first appointment set up so that I can get into the care part of it. And some of the other things I did pre-trip is they call the foreign medical plan. If you're a veteran and you travel and you're service connected or 100% retired, it's called the foreign medical program. You need to apply for that before you leave. You get a letter, and basically anything that is part of your retirement plan when it comes to your medical coverage, that this VA, because this is a VA clinic, by the way, it's not a full-blown hospital. It's a clinic that is capable of doing certain things, but other things you're going to have to use a regular local hospital, more privatized hospital on some of the local ones, because there's some real bad medical care here and some of the smaller places. So you definitely want to be able to get to some of the bigger cities. But anyway, the foreign medical plan, what it does is it reimburses you for any out-of-pocket expense. It's like you have PPO and HMO. So it's more like an HMO plan. So the FMP is basically like an American HMO plan. You might pay out of pocket, but then you get reimbursed after you show them the receipt for whatever you paid for. So it's a win-win type of thing where you're not paying anything out of your pocket beside the initial outlay or cost. A lot of times you will never spend a lot of money, even in a general clinic, for hospital visits. It's very minimum pesos for medical care here. So that was one of the things that I looked at, and why it took me a minute before I came out to the province was I was getting my resources reestablished. As a man, what are you supposed to be, a protective provider? If you don't have any resources, if you're not already set up to do that, you're already disadvantaged. Why? Because you're a stranger in a strange land. This ain't your place. You're new to the environment. So you're going to rely on that person that you're trying to see. But if you're over there solo, then you really need to get your resources in play and understand the lay of the land and where you can and cannot go and where you're going to get your provisions from as far as your medical, your medicines. That's another thing. Make sure you bring enough medicine to carry you over while you're trying to figure out these systems. If you're on some kind of medication, high blood pressure, cholesterol, whatever it might be, make sure you bring enough medication. And if you do have a resource like somebody that you trust, I sent over a package 2 months before I left to her parents' house, so that by the time I got here and got settled in, that package was here. I had a portable generator because I knew there was brownouts and blackouts, certain things I wanted to keep running with a portable generator that's solar powered. So there's certain things I sent over here in that box that I didn't want to pack. And the nice thing with Baklabon boxes, they ship them over in a container. You can put as much stuff as in that thing that you can carry, almost 160 pounds. As long as 2 people can pick that box up, you can put anything in that box you want. And it does not get searched by immigration because it's in a big ass shipping container. If you try to mail it, I tried to mail a box before. If it has certain types of stuff in it, they told you to take the stuff out the box. Plus, that box cost me almost $300 to $400 to ship. A Baklabon box only cost me $160 flat. Didn't matter the weight. So again, if you're going to a certain country and you already have certain hookups because you've gone 2, 3, 4 times and you trust somebody and you know you're going to be there for a while, arrange to have packages set up that you can send over there, either Baklaban or whatever their freight rate is that you can get within that country, and pre-ship some things before you leave. That way, by the time you get there, you only have to wait a month or two for that ship to pull in the port and for them to get that stuff out of the container and deliver to whatever location you told them to. In the military, we do this all the time, but the military pays for it. When you move overseas, they'll pack all your stuff up for you, ship it over, and then they'll unpack it and bring it to your house and basically bring it to whatever residence you're in. And when we leave, same thing. I lived in Hawaii for a while. They did the same thing for us, even including a car. Here in the Philippines, they have what they call a SRRV. It's a special visa that you can have, especially as a veteran or even American. That visa is a very low requiring visa. It's one of the easiest countries, obviously, because of our relationship with the Philippines, you can get. And it's a permanent resident visa. So instead of you being sponsored by somebody to get your residency visa, you can sponsor yourself through the SRV. And as a veteran, you get a huge discount. I think it's like barely $1,500 in a bank, and you got to have a steady income. And that's about the major requirements you need, aside from medical insurance. Let me read this super chat. Thank you, LJ, for the $1.99 super chat. Question: what is your favorite Filipino food or dish? Damn. I want to say any adobo. I like chicken adobo, but obviously they use a lot of pork. That's one thing. I tell you what, Filipinos, I swear to God, if you close your eyes real quick, you would think they were a part of our community. They were black. They eat everything from the rooter to the tutor when it comes to a pig. Okay, lechon, this, that, and the other, cheek, ears. Man, I swear to you, pork is like one of their favorite things they cook. But yeah, adobo. Any kind of adobo is good with me. Pancit. So, and then there's some things I just miss, that they just don't have here. They can't even cook a decent steak, I swear to God. But when you go into town, like when I fly into BGC or Manila, I'll go and have what I can't get here in the province then, and it's like a treat. But yeah, I'm about a 50-minute flight where I'm at, and the airport's not more than 5 minutes down from the community that I live in. So I'm literally that close to the airport. So if there's something wrong and I feel like I need to be taken to a doctor, an airplane ticket, they fly out twice a day. Flights come in, flights go out on 2 different airlines, Cebu and then Philippines Airlines. They have 2 airlines that fly in once a day and fly out once a day. But I can at least catch a flight the very next day for maybe $100 at the most one way to get into Manila, and then go into whatever hospital I need to go into. If it's something really bad that I don't think a local doctor can handle, I can literally get on an airplane 5 minutes away from the very next day if I feel like it's something serious. But yeah, so those are some of the things I looked at before I actually got on the plane. And if they married up, to some of the things I wanted, yeah, they eat the entire swine. That's their favorite thing, man. So, if you're not a pig guy, you're vegetarian. They got plenty of vegetables. Believe me, LJ, you will have no problems being here in the Philippines when it comes to vegetables. They grow it all. So you won't run short on anything. But when it comes to the meat, it's a lot of pig. They don't have a lot of ranches and stuff like that, especially on Luzon. Luzon is the island I'm on. They do have some ranches on some other islands, but Luzon, they don't necessarily have a lot of ranches. So beef comes in and out, or they have cattle already that they raise. Every once in a while, you might see a video of somebody having one lowly ass cow sitting in the middle of all this field, tied with a rope that nobody bothers, to an open area. That's about what you see for cow. So yeah, beef is not something they eat a lot of, but they do eat that. And then fish is a huge thing. They eat a lot of different fish, tilapia, whiting. They have milk fish and some other fish here. Uh, I found a source of salmon, but I swear to you, nobody bought that salmon until my lady went in there and she brought 30 pieces of salmon one day. And the clerk was looking at her like, what the hell? She literally almost emptied the freezer. Once she found it, she literally almost emptied the freezer. I said, buy it all. And we'll just throw it in the freezer. So that went around. She did that twice in 2 months. Everything was in the freezer at the time. She just grabbed it and brought it. She didn't care what the cost was. It was about maybe 3,500 pesos, which they were only selling East Filet for about 100 and something pesos, like $2. So it was a really good deal because they didn't know what they had. So once she did that 2 months, they were looking at her like, there's something about this fish. We got to figure out what it is. So I guess they started cooking it. And the next thing you know, the third month, that supply that we had a good source of, all of a sudden they were always out. They don't have it no more. So somebody figured out that fish tasted good as hell. So they started buying it. So yeah, you got to keep your sources kind of low because once people figure out something's good and the price might be really, really, really good, somebody will figure out and start buying it themselves. And so now I got to find another salmon supply. But yeah, I eat a lot of fish, a lot of chicken. I don't eat a lot of beef. Every once in a while I will, but I've always been a chicken and fish guy, especially salmon. Got to get my omega-3s in there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so healthcare, medicine, one of the other things is when you're looking at leaving is also look at your power. What are you using for your power? Like I have a couple converters. Like I brought a whole portable broadcasting system, little mini PC. I have a Rodecaster dual full system, and all this is running off of 115 volts. Well, off the wall is 200 watts. If I plug that directly in the wall, I'm blowing up all my shit. So yes, you have to buy inverters or converters from one to another. So make sure you have some inverters for whatever country you're looking at going to, especially for your American electronics, because you're going to wind up getting screwed or blowing up some of your electronics and the batteries, overcharging them. Okay. Let's see. Crossing the right. Okay, so I already talked about a lot of this thing, making sure the country you choose is right for you. While I might see the benefits of being in the Philippines, a lot of people don't. A lot of people choose to be in Colombia. They might want to go to Brazil or like my boy Paraguay. Those are places, whatever fits you, fits you. So find that area where you're going to have peace while you're overseas and not stressed the hell out. I'm not a big city boy, so I don't care about being in BGC or I can afford to live there too. It's not too far off of what I would actually wind up paying less and having more creature comforts because a lot of their stuff is more modernized to Americans than being here. A lot of conveniences, like they don't have Costco here. They have a store called Landry's or Landers. So when I go into BGC, I pick up a lot of stuff from Landers and I literally bring a suitcase empty. So if there's something I want from like a big store like Costco or something, I'll take an empty suitcase and I will fill the hell out of that suitcase, whatever things that they don't sell out in the province. And then when I fly back from making my doctor's appointments or whatever, and I usually do that. Since I've been here, I've flown into Manila twice for doctor's appointments. So that's not an inconvenience. I'll fly in, stay a couple days and fly back. And even my lady, her birthday was March the 14th. So we flew out. I had my doctor's appointment. We spent out there the weekend, took her to a whole bunch of restaurants, and then we flew back. No big deal. So that's even, like I said, so convenient. It's like taking an Airbus. A lot of people that I know used to air travel or Airbus it. They would fly in to a certain city, work, and then fly home. It was that convenient, like $70 each way, which was even more time effective than trying to drive. And that was in California. So it's similar to just doing an Airbus thing. I can fly in and fly out when I need to, stay as long as I need to, because even the accommodations on Airbnb or hotel is not expensive in the Philippines enough that you can't go somewhere, stay a couple of days, and not put yourself out of a budget or anything like that. So those are some of the conveniences I have. But yeah, definitely have your mindset before you leave, what you're doing for your healthcare, your medications, power, your electronics, and then make sure you're falling within a budget. You know, don't go into a country obviously you can't afford to be in. You know, and then the biggest thing I talk about, and one of my biggest advocates, is your peace. Men's mental health. I suffer from PTSD. I've talked about this. You know, I was very productive in the company I used to work for. I ran an agency with a major insurance company, and I had almost 3,000 clients. And well, yeah, I had 3,000 clients, about 300 agents that worked under me. I'm making a buttload of money, but money doesn't matter if you lose your sanity while you're trying to make it. And I got to a point where I didn't care about what people were talking about or what people wanted. I needed to tend to myself. I had a habit of putting everybody ahead of me before I put myself first. So in that restructuring, I gave a lot of that business up. I turned it over to other agents. I didn't care. I know how money works. I can make it when I want, and I don't need to make it as much, especially being here. You know, so when you're looking at finding a place that matches with you, also find a place, like I said, it's going to give you peace. You know, get the help you need, whether it be through therapy, talking to somebody, whatever it is. I'm a huge advocate for that. And that's the thing that's going to allow you to live longer. You can't be helping anybody if you're not here. You know, and we have too many brothers and that are often are self-deleting. And some of them are just through health. Go see a fucking doctor on a regular basis for your physical health, let alone your mental. You know, unfortunately, you have brothers right now that are suffering some different things, and whether they suffer in silence or they choose to share it, you know, that's on them. But at the end of the day, you need to always constantly be monitoring your health. I used to say this in the insurance business all the time to my clients. One of the biggest things I used to share with them is, look, while you might look healthy on the outside, God only knows what's going on the inside of you. Nobody's going to guarantee that you're going to wake up tomorrow. You might think you're the fittest person in the world. You're in the gym. How many bodybuilders in the last year died? How many people that had less than 2 or 3% body fat died? It's not about your look, it's how healthy you are on the inside of you. You can sculpt your body all day and just be eating trash food, you know, or have bad mental health. That does not matter. So that is pretty much my spiel. And what I want to do is open up the panel and let's talk about, you know, if you guys are looking to move or stay somewhere permanently overseas, what your mindset is, what your thought process is on traveling, and where you feel like you're going to fall in and feel more comfortable with. And like I said, I hope you guys are not just traveling for women. I hope you're traveling first for peace, a place where you can provide. Now, one of the things I'm doing while I'm here is I'm learning automation, AI automation. I'm doing a lot of NAN. Now I'm starting to get in the Claude code. Obviously, you guys have seen me playing around with AI for the last 1.5 to 2 years. So my AI is getting even better. They're actually looking like me now. Now, I can blame that on AI and not necessarily my fault, because I can only give them certain information to tell them to make it look like me. But now it's actually getting more real. I'm producing mini films and clips and helping a lot of people on that. So even while I'm here, I'm looking at ways of having money generated for me automatically without my hands being on it, besides managing the AI. So even while I'm not working, I'm working. I'm looking at other income streams. You know, so with that, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And you're more than welcome to come up. As long as you came up before you come up, I need to know who you are. If I don't know you, if I know you, then it's no big deal. I'm going to bring you up in. So I'm now formally open up the panel while I'm doing that. Thank you, David Dice, my brother. His comment on his $10 super chat is the hardest decision is choosing between Southeast Asia and South America. Is how hard to be to own property, because I know it's more challenging in Southeast Asia. Okay, so here's the mindset I have. And yeah, you're right. Owning property in Southeast Asia is a little more difficult because they actually protect their land, unfortunately, more so than we do even in America. We allow anybody to come in our country and buy whatever the hell they want. And as long as they have the money, we'll sell it to them, whether they're citizens or not. But and a lot of these countries, yes, you have to be a citizen or a foreign national of that country in order to own the property. This is the way I look at it. If I'm going to buy land in a country, I'm going to have some kind of link to that country, and not through marriage. I'm talking lineage link. So if you see me buying land in a country, hence why am I going back to Texas first and not buying land now? Because I don't have any kids with her. Once I have a child with her, I'll be happy to come back to the Philippines and buy. Why? Because even if I don't own the land, my child will own the land eventually. And that's how you guarantee equality when it comes to you spending money on land that you don't necessarily own, you as the initial buyer. But your children will inherit it through legacy. So that's one of the things I look at. So even if it's a country that I personally won't, but if I have a child with that woman that's from that country, then I know my children will. And I'll set it up that way. What's up, travel elitist? How are you doing, bro?
What up? What up? What up? 1 year in Philippines. That's congratulations, man.
Yeah, man, time flew. I swear to God, I did not know it was going to go that fast. And it literally, I can't believe it's been a year. Today,
Yeah.
actually, that's why I made it a late broadcast, is because it was May the 6th I landed. Cinco de Mayo, 1:00 in the morning when Cinco de Mayo started in Texas. I literally was boarding the plane to fly over here, and I got off the plane in Manila May the 6th.
I have a question. Is there opportunities for foreigners to get jobs in the Philippines?
I mean, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, if you have corporations over here that need you to manage certain things for them. Obviously, they have call centers here. It's a huge customer service belt. They have all kind of call centers in Manila and Cebu and all these different places. So because they speak English and speak English well, 95% of the time when you're calling Microsoft for somebody, you're talking to a Filipino half the time and maybe an Indian the other times.
hmm
Those two nations have call centers, and maybe they have somebody that comes over here to manage those call centers that are American. I do know a guy that used to send in the Philippines. Literally, he's a heavy set guy, wears glasses, and he managed a couple call centers, whether it be for his business or for a major corporation. So there's are ways to come over here and work for another company. I don't know why you would want to work for a Philippines company, because you're going to get paid in pesos. But if you can make American money while you're here, hell yeah. And I'm sure right now with the bases opening, if you look at the government openings for liaisons with Subic Bay and Olongapo reopening, I don't know if they're doing anything with Clark Air Force Base, but even on the northern tip of Luzon, they're opening up another base or something up there, a resource. I know Japanese Marines are here. Obviously, they have the Filipino Marines, and then obviously we're here. I heard they were redoing Subic Bay for permanent postings, so they're actually building barracks and everything. So if you're going to be a GS, you can possibly work off of a base in one of these areas that they're rebuilding or reopening.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the reason why I asked that is because, a lot of guys talking about, well, if you work remote, get these remote jobs. But right now, working remote is kind of starting to get scarce with, with AI taking over and all that stuff.
Right.
So you need a kind of a plan B. And I'm trying to like locate jobs where, even a foreigner can go and work for their money. And I know, the money in pesos is not that great, but it's still an opportunity for you to keep money flowing, whichever, just in case. But there's other places in the world where they would like to hire foreigners and they get paid well, you know. But the over reliance in remote work, it could be very disappointing because if suppose you lose your remote job, what's plan B now? Can you get a job there? You
Right.
know, so that's why I always like to put stock in more of let me work, let me find a place where I can work and make money there as opposed to relying on remote work because you never know. And plus some of these people, doing remote work, especially the ones that's doing with the VPNs and stuff, you really have to be careful because, there are rules, regulations, and laws regarding data leaving the boundaries of the United States.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Everybody's worried about data security, obviously. So obviously, if you're going to be a digital nomad, you definitely need to tell the truth to your company if you're going to be living abroad while you're working for them, logging into their servers. Shout out to Bobby Coltrane and everybody else that's in the chat. A brother brings up the fact that English teachers are always a resource. So if you have your teaching credentials as an English teacher, or you can get those teaching credentials set up based on your major, somebody's always hiring, obviously in Southeast Asia, for English speaking teachers to teach English. I think there's several expats that do that right now out of China and other places. So yeah, if you have a teaching credential and you want to teach abroad, then that's a definitely way of getting a job. I don't know how they pay you, whether they pay you in American or the local, or if it's paid by a corporation because you're a contractor. I don't know how that works, but I do know that, yeah, teaching jobs are plentiful. And maybe Jeremy or Jerome, maybe you can tell me how are they paying you? Are they paying you in dollars? And do they associate it to the country that you're in? And what's the normal pay, if you know, that somebody can make as a teacher while they're teaching abroad? Shout out to Style King Marco for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Very proud of my brother Ronin. Keep it up, OG. All right. Matter of fact, welcome Style King to the stage. I appreciate it, bro.
that's a familiar name. I haven't seen Star King in a mad minute, man. It's me, Passport Blueprint, bro.
What's going on, big dog?
It's up.
Yeah, man. I've been just saying low key, man. That's what I really came to really just chop it up with you guys. Let y'all know what
Yeah.
I've been up to.
Yeah,
So you
man.
go.
I know you're working on getting your permanent residency in Paraguay, or just a permanent visa. And
Yeah, I want to get my residency, get on that path to citizenship. It's pretty straightforward from what they tell me.
Now, what made you pick? Because I know you've gone to several places. You've been to Brazil. You've been to a lot of different places. What made you zero in on Paraguay from either a percent of maybe the culture, the people? What was it about Paraguay that stood out above and beyond everybody else?
I personally, for me, I think it's everything except for the women.
Oh, okay. What you mean?
Yeah,
Everything.
like the other countries, some of the countries, I feel like it's more attraction between the women and me. Whereas like in Paraguay, you kind of like maybe more fetishized, which is it's cool for like hanging out and stuff, but it's gonna take a while to find somebody that's actually that you want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the reason I'm moving there. The reason I'm moving there is more like I want to open a business, provide jobs for people there, be able to still maintain my lifestyle here in the United States with my properties and keep my income coming in.
Right. So, now, speaking of properties, because you're somebody that owns property and you do the Airbnb thing, what is the process on owning land in Paraguay? Is it something that you can own or cannot own as an American?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You can buy land without actually being a citizen. So I definitely plan on making a purchase. But I'm probably rent for the first year, just to get my feet wet.
Okay. Well, that's definitely a pro. For a lot of people that are looking, a lot of Latin communities obviously allow you to buy land and not have to
Yeah,
be there.
like with
So
the safety aspect, I felt more safe there. Like I might be able to take a couple of my chains down there with me. You know, like I ain't gonna go too crazy, but I would feel more comfortable just being able to go. There's a lot of nice places you can relax, great restaurants, you know, great little party scene if you feel like doing that.
Yeah, I just got back from a couple months ago. I was in Mexico City renewing my resident visa, my temp resident visa. I got it for the next 3 years, and then after that, I applied for my permanent.
is this what
Hey,
is this? Mexico?
Yeah, Mexico.
Congratulations. Now, what made you
yeah.
choose Mexico above everything else? Because I know you had been weighing out some other places, and you had been to Israel a lot, but I know you weren't going to go there.
Yeah. Mexico was the thing about it. The process was easy. Um, Based upon your income and stuff, it was a pretty easy process. The thing about like it's a short flight from where I'm at. Being in Phoenix, it's a 3 hour flight to Mexico City. That's one. Where I stayed at in Mexico City, I think this is something Canal had recommended me to go, was Polanco, which was really, really a nice area. Then, I just felt it was a lot, though, cops everywhere. I mean, I I felt very secure.
Okay.
Um, Very, very secure. The nightlife is just really nice. I I don't really have any problems over there. The people are just like the hospitality was just it was the one that won me over. The hospitality was just off the chain, and even some of the people that I met doing Uber and stuff like that, they just say, "Yo, Mexicans just very, very hospitable." And they just love them. And I
But hold up now. You going against the grain. They saying Mexican. Like, what you mean?
know the ones that down, not the Americans up here, not the Mexican Americans up here, the Mexicans down there, they were just hospitable. I mean, literally. I mean, sir. I mean, it was just super great.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. It was just the hospital. I mean, I stayed in a luxury apartment place for cheap, you know, got wonderful service. They took care of me like super well. I tipped my security guards very, very well because they deserved it. They were great. And, going around, and I was in like the bougie part of Polanco's the bougie part of freaking Mexico City. That's Bougieville. And I went to the
I'm not
mall.
Bougieville now. Come on now.
Okay.
They took care of me very well. I'm
Okay.
not lying. I mean, I gotta give Kunal his props on that was a good call. But I'm also looking at other cities to go to check it out, like Playa del Carmen and Guadalajara, and I might go to Puerto Vallarta. I'm not sure, but I might just stick around in Mexico City, and I kind of like the vibe of it. But I'm also gonna start looking at other places too. And the other two places I'm looking at, there's actually a couple other places, but in the near future, I'm also looking at Paraguay as far as getting their residency program, and also looking at Philippines because you had sent me some information about that, and
Right.
it looks very, 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 very easy to get that. So, if
Hey,
it's easy to get the residency, why not? Because it just gives me more options.
right. And like I said, I'm gonna double back and get my SRV when we come back to build here. But initially, I'm not even worrying about that. But when I cycle back this way and we actually start buying land, that's when I'll go through that process. But it's not hard at all.
Yeah,
I have my
yeah, looking at it when you sent me that information, I was like, wow, this is pretty damn easy.
yeah. They even relaxed the non-veterans, meaning military SRRV requirements. You can actually get it a lot lower, like in your late 30s now.
Oh,
You do
really?
a little bit more in your bank account, but you can still get an SRV as a civilian at a younger age now as a resident.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's what I'm telling people now because of what's going on. in this country is like have a plan B. And in order to have that plan B, you might as well have a residency card ready and waiting just so you can go to that next location.
Right.
Yeah.
Salute everybody joining. We are in an open panel. If you guys have questions, if you have ideas of where you feel like you're going to want to settle in, that's your speed or your stilo when it comes to the culture in another country, by all means, sound off in either the chat or you can hit the link and come on up.
Yeah, bro. A lot of the stuff that you were saying about the prices in the Philippines sounds very close to what I was looking at in Paraguay. Like maybe 200. I would be spending maybe $200 to $250 on groceries a month, maybe.
Yeah.
And
pull that slide up real quick so you can see what I had up.
And then you can get like a 1-bedroom. Like I probably start off with like a little 1-bedroom, nice apartment for about $400 to $500 a month, maybe. You can't. It's hard to beat that in South America.
You guys can see what's behind me. This is like a stairwell that's coming up. I'm in like an open area upstairs where I have the office at. But there's 3 bedrooms up here. There's a bedroom downstairs and a whole rumpus room, kind of like den area that was built out, in addition to the kitchen and a little area off of the kitchen. So it's a pretty big place. For what I'm paying for.
I might have to explore the countryside too, though, because I'm talking about the capital city of the country. So they got cities that I need.
If you don't have to be in the city, if you're not a city guy, then you're definitely gonna save money being out in a provincial province or something like that.
I do like how the people are kind of like old school too. They've been like, just like you said, they're Catholics. So like a lot of the girls I talk to
joining. This is the budget that I spend every month while I'm here, so you guys can see what I spend legitimately.
And that's a good budget. That's a really good budget.
Hell yeah!
That's everything I need. I don't need anything extra. Everything else is play money, or me putting it up in savings, or me putting it in an investment, or me reinvesting in myself, doing my AI stuff. You know what I mean? So all that is just. That's my overhead right there.
Now, what about in BBC or Manila? How does your budget change if you were to go to BBC or Manila?
The rent is definitely going to be a lot more. It depends. Like if you're doing Airbnb, like my only experience was Airbnb. Like if you're doing something like a rental property, I've seen it at as low as $350 American in a condo. It would have all the amenities, a gym, a pool, and a lot of the different things that you would normally want to have. They have that in that 350, and then obviously you pay your own water, electric, and then your own the cable. I think might even be provided by the owner. So you have to pay the rent, water, and electric, and then everything else. Obviously, your food and food costs can vary. It can be really cheap, $2.50 to $5 for a basic meal in the Philippines. Up to whatever you want to spend. Even for a good steak dinner, I think I barely spent, I want to say 5,000 pesos for both of us to eat a steak dinner at a nice restaurant in BGC.
How much is that?
Not much. Let's put it this way, $75 maybe.
Oh yeah, that's a lot high. Well, it's not high for us, but it's high compared to like in Paraguay.
I'm still jealous when Sty King had that freaking tomahawk steak when he was in Paraguay.
I get all that whole table full of food with the tomahawk for like 40, 50, including the drinks and the date.
I'm turning my calculator on so I can actually break that down real quick. But I don't think it was that high.
But I think the housing costs are probably a little bit better in the Philippines, though. But Paraguay got 1 million cows everywhere, so it's a little different.
Yeah, it was 5,000 is $81, but that was for 2.
Yeah.
So break that in half, about $40. And
It's
you,
still that's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all.
What about Mexico though? I think Mexico a little higher.
Yeah, it is. It depends on where you're going. I haven't really. I just been there just to get the card. I
Mhm.
haven't, just to have the card. I haven't really explored about where I'm gonna actually be. That's the thing. I just been busy with other stuff here because the reason why I also haven't been online is because I started my own. I'm starting my own cybersecurity company, and I've been busy putting that together. So I I just, like I said, I just want to secure at least one location, and that was going
Mexico.
down there, Mexico.
Now,
The
are you
next
buying
one,
land down there, or are you just looking right now? You just want to knock out some residency visas before you decide on a place where you're kind of like settling
just
in.
yeah, let me just secure it because there's going to be a lot of changes. I'm noticing changes in the visa. I just heard today that Portugal had made some changes with their golden visa plan. Instead of getting your citizenship in 5 years, now it's 10.
Damn.
Yeah, that hurt a lot. So it's like initially it took a while for people to even get their plastic residency card, like
Mhm.
like 3 years just to get the residency card. From the
Wow.
time you get your residency card, now you have to wait. Just apply for citizenship. You're gonna have to wait at least 10 years.
God, dog. What country is this?
Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Europe. Europe is tough though.
Oh,
No, actually,
that's that old school shit going on there. That
no.
Portugal.
You're if you there's a country in Europe, and there's some places in Europe you can get that quick if they're part of the European Union. And the one country you would have to do that, you have to actually buy property over there. And the quickest one that people talking about right now is Latvia.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Turkey. I heard some good stuff about Turkey.
Nah, Turkey, don't even go there. Don't even bother with that. Bypass
Damn.
that. Bypass that motherfucker. Bypass that
Oh, we
motherfucker
gotta
quickly.
know why you said
Yo,
that.
like I said it earlier. Wherever it fits you. Now you might hate it, but somebody could go there and love it. Matter of fact, I think there was a brother that used to be on the different panels. He runs a couple businesses. He was doing a lot of business in Turkey. So, like I said, it's just all in what makes you feel comfortable. We all grew up in different ways. We all had
Hmm.
different life experiences. So, one thing that fits me and I can be comfortable in the environment, y'all looking at it like, damn, this is trash. Okay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
but
but
why he say that though?
Turkey right now, their economy is crashing. The dollar value is horrible. They're losing value in the dollar.
Well, that's
but
good
you
for
Lot.
us.
take advantage of it as an American. You should be able to take advantage of it. Now, if they're
Yeah,
hating on you because you're an American driving up prices, that's a whole nother thing. And they kind
no,
of attack.
everything's getting super expensive over there. It's just not even worth it. A lot of people from Turkey are leaving to go to the United States just to make money. It's just bad. The economy is crashing.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's not even worth it.
We are in an open panel. If you guys like to join the conversation, you're more than welcome to hit the link. It's pinned to the chat in the room. If you're in the horizontal room, if you're in the vertical room, unfortunately, I can't do anything in those rooms independently. For some reason, the chat side of it is monkeyed out. It says there's a problem right now going on YouTube. So in studio.
how y'all be doing that with the side panel with the both?
Yeah, I'm in YouTube. Well, what I do is I have two panels open for YouTube Studio, and then I have the screen shared. And so I can monitor both the vertical and the horizontal at the same time if I'm not doing it through StreamYard. So then I can actually set up questions and panel polls and stuff like that, in both rooms. But if I can't do that, I can only be in the horizontal or vertical room singular. So
Yeah.
it just makes it difficult to run the show.
That's genius. That's a genius move though, because you can pick up new people from the horizontal.
Vertical, yeah, the vertical is definitely a good way. Yeah, you get more views that just don't stay long. They might be in there 3 to 5 minutes, where on the horizontal they'll be in anywhere from 5 to 10 or 15 or the whole show. So you'll notice the horizontal will keep you longer, but you get more people coming through on the vertical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So what? So right now, Travel Elite is you're got the Mexican thing going. Now with everything that's going on in the United States, are you looking to go ahead and exploit that residency and go down to Mexico for a while, either in an Airbnb or lease a place on a little bit of a year or so, like lease or what?
I'm just basically going to be hitting cities just to check which city is going to be at. Guadalajara is on my list. I haven't really fully explored Mexico City, so that's still there. Playa de Carmen is another one. So
Mhm.
those three, it's on my list right now.
Have you thought about checking out Merida?
Well, there's not too far from Playa de Carmen. I can always rent a car and go down there and check it out. But I think because I know there's a fairly decent black expat community down there. Um, I thought about it. I think probably I'm gonna probably if I go down in that area, which is I think that's Quintana Roo, the state of Quintana Roo. I think I'm pretty much gonna more likely stay in Playa de Carmen,
Okay.
more than
Yeah.
likely,
I
if
like
I
those
decide.
beach towns. I love them beach towns.
But with medical stuff, and still that's why I'm still flexing on Mexico City, because I think they also have a VA clinic similar to what Ronan was talking about earlier. So I
Mhm.
might have to just stick with I have to see, because I may have to just stick with
Did
just
you
being
get
up in
your
Mexico City.
FMP letter? Did you get your FMP letter yet?
What's that?
Your foreign medical plan
No.
for your VA status. Apply for that so that when you're overseas, if you have to go into a doctor or whatever, even though you pay out of your pocket, if it's
Mhm.
part of your service connection or whatever, if you're fully retired, they reimburse you for your medical expenses.
Okay. I'll look into that, because I know there's a clinic that's in Mexico City that's like a VA type clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was another reason why I looked at going to Mexico City. But it's if you know where to go in Mexico City, you're fine. I mean, you can walk at night, no problems. I've walked around, I've taken videos. Like I said, it was just really, really nice. Really, really quiet and really nice. Plenty of security and law enforcement. I mean, Polanco even has its own Rodeo Drive.
Oh damn.
Yeah, like I said, when I say bougie, I'm not playing. I'm not playing.
Yeah, BGC's like that with Makati. They're all high end stores there. It's very well to do. A lot of the foreign nationals live there from all the different countries. So when you're walking up the street, you're literally hearing about 5 or 6 different languages being spoken at any given time.
Mhm.
So yeah, we have a lot of places like that too. And high end, either everything is like fast internet. Everything is like most modern conveniences are right there in those cities. They even have a Soho and some other places.
And they say, just with the street food, you can just live off the street food alone. You'd be saving money
Where?
in Mexico City.
Oh, okay,
Those
okay.
We're talking like street food, like getting tacos and stuff.
Be
Like
careful what you eat in the
less than
Philippines. All I'm
yeah, like
saying.
$1 and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Lunch
there's a
could
lot
be
of. There's certain things I won't eat because I don't know how the food was handled, and their food
yeah.
safety standards not up to American safety standards when it comes to
hmm
handling the cross contamination and all that is a real thing. They
Yeah,
don't
I
even.
know. I hear you.
Yeah,
But the food stuff I mean, I'm surprised to see some of the different food qualities that I got. I've seen Middle Eastern. They even got a Jamaican spot somewhere over there, which I got to go find. In Mexico City. So
Man,
yeah,
I
I mean
seen some shit,
oxtails and all that stuff, bro. I'm not kidding.
they
bro. I seen some shit in
seasoned. Are they
I done
good? They tender. They falling off the bone. You know what I'm saying? Do they have?
tenderness.
Yeah.
They had tendonism on. You know?
Man, I seen some shit in Lima, Peru. I said, "Oh my god, these people."
Because I'm telling you, I introduced my lady to some seasoning. She was like, "Oh my god, I ain't never tasted nothing like that." I said, "It's all about seasoning, baby." You know, so in the kitchen, man, I got all kind of seasonings that they don't never use. So then when I put it together and I started rubbing it on some chicken and cooked, she was like, "God damn, what the hell?" It's like a white boy that ain't never tasted no seasoning in America, and you first get around a black family and get invited to a picnic, and that white man loses his mind tasting all that seasoned food. That's what it was with her. She started tasting. She's like, "Hey, teach me how to do this." So I started teaching her about seasonings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, you know, and you're right, Ronan. If you're traveling for women, man, you know you're gonna lose. That's why I can't understand why everybody's constantly like Colombia this, Colombia that. You know, if it fits you, that's fine. But
If it fits you and you got a lady down there, then that's fine. If you going down there to try to find one, that's great too. But you better, man, work on yourself first. Work on your lame isms. Work on your little fucking iterations that you have as far as your mental problems. Work on all that shit before you go anywhere.
Yeah,
exactly, because you
That
know,
happens in the country. Fix your shit first.
see, that's
'cause
what I was
going,
saying. That's what I was saying about Paraguay. Like Paraguay got a lot of beautiful women. It's not too much melanin, and I kind of, I like my melanin, but it's not about the women. It's about everything else. You know what I'm saying? The women gonna come regardless. They got
Right.
beautiful women in every country, so it's not like you need to go to a specific country because the women. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like elementary thinking, I believe.
Real
because you got to
element.
survive, man. You have to survive there. So it can't be just women. You got to figure out, you know, how you're going to make money and how you're going to get in the home and all this other stuff and being safe. And you're going to a country, State Department, level 3, reconsider travel. Come on, dude. Really?
Right.
They
Yeah.
just
And then
they haven't you know, bombings that we experienced in Iraq and
look,
Afghanistan now and stuff. And these dudes like, man, I can't wait to go to Medellin, you know, get away from the United States because of all these mass shootings. And yet you're going back over to a war zone that me and Ronin went through.
right.
Yeah. When I was
So
in
here's
Cali, Colombia, they had 2 bombings like the week after I left.
right, and here's the biggest thing. I'm gonna bring you up in a second, Davis. I see you. Here's the biggest thing, and this is why I did this. No matter where you go in the world, you can see the average monthly income right here under the blue of a Filipino. What in America do we have that we know that women are all over the world globally? It's called hypergamy.
Yep.
They're always going to want to marry up. They're always going to want to be able to marry somebody that's going to be protective provider. You coming in as an American automatically, like I said, you getting gold star treatment just because you're already top 4 percentile if you're making anywhere above $3,000 a month. And everybody should be doing that. So that's not even a consideration whether you're going to get a lady or not. It's what kind of lady you're going to get and where you get her from should be your question. But you're going to get one. That's not a problem. So that shouldn't be your first lead in. Are you going to be comfortable while you're there? Is it the kind of lifestyle that you like? Do they believe the same way you believe? Those are some of the things you need to look at way before you're looking at a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you got a replay coming to your mic there, David. But go ahead. You're welcome to the live, my brother.
Hey, Ronin Travelers, my brother. How you doing, family?
Good. Just
Good
chilling.
Uh-huh.
Reminiscing about my first year being here in the Philippines. It snuck up on me. It kind of came around fast, man.
I don't know, man. I'm living vicariously through you, man. I don't know if I ever told you that, but living through you. Hey, good evening to the rest of my brothers in the chat. How y'all doing?
There you
Going
go.
on, bro?
I'm good. Great topic. Mr. Styles King. Yeah, I heard he mentioned Paraguay, and that got my attention. So I was like, I gotta try to pick this brother's brain a little bit. Because I'm definitely, South America is definitely, it compliments me real nicely.
You all over the place, David. So I
No,
gotta ask
I love Southeast Asia too, but that
You
property
talk,
owning. That's like the very
you talk about Colombia all the time because you know, you in our brother Andre's room all the time. You know, you talk
absolutely
about Brazil. Now
right.
you know about Southeast Asia. Now Paraguay comes up, brother. You got to get on a plane and go some places.
You're right.
You
I
gotta
just
down.
right.
But yeah, what you want to know? What you want to know about Paraguay, my brother?
I
Morning.
mean,
Congratulations. By the way, shout out to Alex Bam Bam. Congratulations on your marriage, brother. It could happen to a no better couple, man. Y'all are great together, and I'm glad you went ahead and took that step, man.
congrats.
Yeah, man. Congratulations.
Congrats, bro.
He got married in America or he got married overseas?
He's in Thailand. He's in Thailand.
Congratulations! I thought he got married in America. I was like, damn.
No. Alex Bam Bam. He has his own. He has his own YouTube channel. Him and his girl have been going for a while now. So they got engaged and then they just got married.
Oh man, I gotta get his channel link, man.
Alex Bam Bam.
Alex Bam.
Let me go find it real quick.
All right, but
Go ahead, David. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
no, it's good. It's good. So, Mr. Styles King. Sorry, brother, but how long did it take to acquire like citizenship in Paraguay? Just FYI, because I'm trying to get that. I'm looking at.
Now that's something I'm not sure about. The residency you can get in. I think maybe a couple of weeks. You need to be there for a couple of weeks, and then you just got to have it planned out already. Like I already got a lawyer, and the people that's gonna do the paperwork and all that, and just have your document. So I don't know how long it takes to actually get the citizenship, though. That's a great question.
The citizenship I've kind of looked at. I don't think you can get dual citizenship with US. That I looked into. Just gotta double check that. But as far as residency, what was it? Because I know there's a channel, My Best Life Paraguay.
Right.
I know the guy who runs that. That's Aaron. And he knows he's in Paraguay. He's a citizen over there. He talks about that a lot. So I gotta make a run down there and start my process before they make any changes. Because they said they're starting to get a lot of people going down there and getting
Yeah, it's in the news, man. They used to have it where you could have like $5,000 in the bank down there and get residency.
Really?
Yeah, but they changed that, so now you got to have like some kind of investment. They got a lot of different programs. I plan on opening a business, so I think my business that I'm opening is gonna be at least 50,000. So that's gonna be enough to qualify right there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I just dropped his channel link in the chat, and I see my brother is on the live. I'm gonna bring him up. I got to do this. What's up, financial freedom, Sean?
What up?
My brother.
How you feel about my budget, man? I presented a nice level budget. What you think about my overhead?
Man, you good as golden. Come on, man. I know you got to review your budget. I know your credentials and your resume, but yes.
Hold on, there it is. There's the budget right there.
Nice.
I'm not blowing it up or nothing, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I'm staying very conservative and living comfortable with it, you know?
I mean, come on, man. Your low estimates to your high estimates is almost like a $30 difference. You on point like Stacey Adams. Like, what the hell?
Like I said, that's in the province area. If you lived in BGC or something like that, it could be a lot higher. You could spend as much as $1,200 just on the lease alone, but this just depends on how extravagant you want to live. You know, what like I said, your creature comforts are, you know, and that's everybody has to pick that on their own. But shout out to Alex Bam Bam. I dropped his link in the chat. If you guys want to subscribe to his channel, awesome content, and a very good guy.
I just subscribed.
I gotta go over there and subscribe too. I wanna definitely get that information. Absolutely.
He definitely tied the knot.
Oh yeah, Ronin, I got out the Airbnb business.
What?
Yeah, man.
I heard it was kind of like crumbling a little bit with Airbnb. Something happened, and then a lot of people didn't like their changes or something. What made you get out of the Airbnb business?
Well, since I was traveling for the 6-month period, it was just difficult to keep the thing going the way I needed going. With the cleaning people and the co-management, and then plus people was like, I don't know, they kind of destroy your house over time. So I spent another $10,000 fixing it back up, renovating it, and then I just got it rented out 2 months ago.
Okay, so you have a long-term lease on it now.
Yeah.
So the Airbnb. Okay.
And
now my boy Financial Freedom, he's all about the real estate thing. So what do you say right now is going on with Airbnb? Would it be better to do long-term leases and get involved with something like that now, or what?
I mean, get it how you live. That's what I would say. Like, getting it is better than not getting it. But if you are an individual who can shift, I think it's better to shift. Like, it is heavy on time, energy, and attention. And then it's something that people are always trying to change because they're like, oh man, I don't like Airbnb in my communities. So you always have this political backlash and this bureaucracy and regulation to deal with. And that's evolving as you go on. So, but, people get into it because the margins are high. You could generate more profit than on for long term. But you got to put time, energy, and attention plus risk into it in order to get that out of it.
That's very true.
And it's a discretionary expense too. Like, it's not a necessity. So when people decide to go do it, right, it's discretionary money. So if people are broke, they ain't going to be using no Airbnbs, or they're going to be trying to get the cheap deal.
Hey, Ronin.
And especially, oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, brother. I've been trying to get financial advice from Financial Frontier for the longest. This brother said, I don't want no, I'm not going to get caught up in that. I've been trying to get financial advice from him for the longest.
He's not a financial. No, he can't do that. He's not a fiduciary. He ain't trying to get. He's trying to keep a hold of his millions. What you mean? Now I can help you a little bit, but even I would give you advice on what to ask. But I'm not going to tell you what to do because I let my licenses go. I just have 15 years of experience in the business, so I can point you in the right direction. I can tell you what questions to ask, but I'm going to point you to somebody that's currently licensed and certified to do those things.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
All right. I mean, I thought I had to sign an NDA, so what we talk about is between us.
Knowing him, he should have an NDA, so you don't hold him responsible for anything he told you. Especially not having those credentials. So, but hey, he's tried and proven, man. He's right there right now at his age, retired, well off, and doing his own thing. He got that kind of money.
I thought the brother was running for White House or something. His camera back look real political. You got my vote. Man.
Don't have him throw that red hat on. Go ahead and throw that red hat on. Go ahead and piss some people off. Go ahead. It's okay.
Oh yeah, it's back there. No. We chilling today, you know what I'm saying? We just talking about how we get overseas and living like you, man.
And that's the thing, David. You're not overseas. Style is overseas and occasionally back and forth. Me and my boy, Financial Frontier, we're expats. So at this point, you got a good panel to ask whatever questions you need from competent individuals to get some kind of knowledge base on what you want to know. So this is a perfect time for y'all. Y'all ask your questions. You got a good panel right now.
All right. For example, like when I open up a bank account in these foreign countries, I know I spoke to Andre on his live one time, and he said to keep it at a certain amount, not above 11,000, so you won't get taxed heavy on it. But I think he was just referring to Colombia. So he said keep it at 11,000 on point, never above, whether it could be suspicious, something like that.
I think tax laws vary based on whatever country you're in. Certain countries will not tax your money if you're not earning money in this country. Like Philippines, they don't tax your money. I don't know about Thailand. If you know about that, Sean, what they're doing as far as banking in Thailand, as far as how much money you put in and whether it's actually taxable or not. But I know in the Philippines, they don't tax American dollars if you're not working here. You just put your money there.
Yeah. I mean, most countries kind of like most countries have a 182 day kind of residency rule. So if you stay in 182 days plus, or 83 or whatever, 183, then they try to consider you a tax resident. So it depends on your visa, born on a regular, like on my situation, it depends on what visa you got. And then that visa sometimes dictates what's your tax regimen inside that country. Because
So pay
a
attention to the
retirement
visa.
visa, you shouldn't be working. And then, of course, the next visa, you are working, but you're underneath this exemption where they want highly qualified, skilled people to work. So they give you a tax exemption. Then you might be on an elite visa like me. So I don't have a tax unless I stay 183. So it all depends on the person, how they make the money, where the money's coming from, and what visa immigration they're on.
But are they taxing your money earned while you're in their country? How are they able to tax you at all if you're not earning any money? You've already independently wealthy. You get what I'm saying? And I know with the United States, our visa, the way it works is you don't pay taxes if you don't make above 130K. If you're out of the country for at least 10 months out of the year. So you're not even
like that foreign income exclusion.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like situations are different. Again, like I always say, that's the biggest thing. So it's hard. That's why people sit down and usually get tax advice from a specific person.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like if the money is repatriated. So some people usually had like pension funds or their pension, excuse me, or whatever they get. It would come Social Security. It would come to their Thai bank account. And so once that hits the Thai bank account, they know that you got money coming in on a regular, right? Well, if you're in the country for 183 days, then they tax you on that money that you repatriate. But if you get a capital gains in America and you don't bring it into Thailand, then you're golden. But then some places do it worldwide where they don't care where it is. So now you got to know the difference. And so the rules are complex and they all depend on the, again, visa and then your situation as far as what are you paying in America too. So, but most countries have worldwide taxes. And then you got the, exception to the rule, Maltas, the Dubais and stuff like that, where they exclusively try to let you out. And I'm sure Ronin said he doesn't have to worry about it in Philippines. So they probably created something to incentivize pensioners and retirees to come there.
Absolutely.
And live under that type of regime. But if you went there and worked a job with a company, they'll probably try to tax you.
Yeah. They're going to get you. Believe me. But like I was telling them earlier during my live, is one of the highest remit to countries in the world is the Philippines. They have so many foreign overseas workers and everything else. So part of their GDP comes from foreign overseas work and people that live abroad that are sending money back home to their Filipino families. So it behooves them not to have to harass people like that, because that's a huge GDP income base of the country.
Yeah, remittance, repatriated funds, that joint's is serious.
Yeah.
So you just got to shop around, and then they evolve. The rules change. 1 minute it's one thing, and the next minute it's the next. They gave me a visa saying, "Hey, you're exempt," and then they took it away from me and gave it to another visa group. So I'm like, damn. So then I had to come up with a new tax strategy. So that's why I usually don't try to buy in a country heavily. Like, don't get $1 million villa. Because once you do that, if immigration changes, now you're going to be looking egg on your face.
Right. You're kind of stuck in it. And whenever they change, if they fly by night and they change rules a lot, I wouldn't want to buy in that country.
Yeah, that type of country.
It's going to come back on you later, even though you might be safe when you buy.
Okay. Wow. I didn't even think about that, actually. So. Wow.
Yeah, I was almost in Portugal for their visa that they had. It was a D7 or whatever, but there was other visas too. But I was falling underneath that one, paid or whatever. And then like the people threw a protest once and they was mad at us, like foreigners. We didn't do nothing, but they were just mad at the local economy. Next day, the government came out and said, all right, everybody who filed for, let's say like a golden visa, imagine these people paid $500,000 euros for a house. Now they said, hey, that visa and that tax incentive, you won't be taxed for 10 years. It's gone.
Just like
no more. Finito. So now you already spent the $500,000.
With no grandfather clause for the people that got in before?
Nope.
Wow.
They just yanked that bad boy because they had one protest. And I was like, dang, say less. Yeah. I was like, hey, look, now you bought a home, but you got no right to stay in the country.
you know, when Trump came into office, and no fault of him, but when he started kicking out certain African nations based on what countries they were coming from, African nations revolted back and kicked Americans out of their country and took over their properties and their businesses with no recourse. So that's the other thing you got to worry about. You go in some of these countries and you buy property, you establish a business, and they want to turn around like Financial Freedom Frontier said. All of a sudden, you're stuck with no recourse. You invested a lot of money, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into either that house or a business that you're trying to establish in that country. If they change the rules or get mad of America, has nothing to do with you. All of a sudden, you're asked out of everything you invested.
Right. That's one thing I definitely believe in is diversification, because you have too much invested in one place, then you could really crash out.
Yeah,
I don't want that to happen. So,
and that's why I said before I buy land here, we need to have children. I'm not buying land here first. I'll go back in Texas and buy land where I know I have tax exemptions for property that I own, being a veteran. You know, I'll take advantage of that all day long. And then once we have children, yeah, I told her we can pull some money out and come over here and buy, and I'll get my SRV then. You know, I don't need that right now.
right. Paraguay, for me, Paraguay is just a good starting point. So, you know, if everything goes well, that's good. But I still plan on getting maybe some property in different places. I love Ecuador. Ecuador is really like my favorite country, but it's so volatile that I wouldn't start there. You know what I mean? So once I get my
Look at
settled,
the foreign currency exchange rate going on right there. Look at that. Look at that. Our money is stretching. They talking about the dollar is dropping. The petrodollar is hurting Americas. Look. Are we losing or are we winning? I'm sorry.
the dollar is dropping.
We winning. No, it ain't dropping over here.
Oh,
It went up.
oh wow.
It went from 58 when I first got here to 61, and it was high at 61.95. It's at 61.45. And this is even with them struggling to get oil over here. By the way, Philippines gets their oil directly from Iran. When they closed the border and did all this other shit, they stopped all oil flow here. You think they would try to reprise against the Americans and lower the value of their? No, hell no. We're not hurting.
Wow.
Think about that. They secured 2.9 billion or 1 million barrels of oil from Russia. That's coming straight in. They just struck oil off of the coast of Philippines, so they got a whole nother oil well that's going to be producing. And then they negotiated a straight-on one-on-one deal with Iran to go ahead and allow their oil to come through. And I'm sure with America and the relationship that they have with the Philippines, those tankers will be allowed to come through the blockade after they search them.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. I'm still gonna visit for sure.
And plus, I wanted to add to what you was just saying, Ronin. Like, I was just reading something right now. I'm like, people just be wilding, bro. It's basically offshore U.S. dollar deposits held in banks outside of the United States at a record high at $14.5 trillion.
Jesus.
That's almost 220% more than 4.5 trillion held at the beginning of the century.
Right.
So by comparison, in Europe, right? Like it's only Europe, like euros. The world
Right.
only has about 3 trillion of euros. So basically, it's almost $14.5 trillion in USD held in banks across the world. USD is very powerful as a currency.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it.
Everybody wants to
Only
threaten
in America where we're sheltered, we say that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
everybody wants to threaten that it's going to go somewhere. It's not going anywhere. Everybody threatened with the BRICS because those are the nations that had a problem with us and our tariffs and everything else that we put on them. So they're like, oh, we're going to try to defer from using the US dollar. You can't get out of it. We're the only stable country that's trustworthy enough to do it. Everything else is going to have to be diversified between 3 different nations. Some of those nations aren't stable enough because somebody ran up the thing with, or there was a suggestion when we did the petrodollar show. You know, Japan tried it; they couldn't do it. You know, so it's something where it's going to be a multi-tier level type of currency of multiple countries, not excluding United States dollar because that'll never be out of the picture. but they might include some other dollars being allowed in. But the Japanese yuan is not that stable. It's not something that you're going to want to play around with. And then again, is that country trustworthy enough? You know, they have their own little political things going on in their country that a lot of people don't know about. You know, they closed all their banks a couple of years ago, about 2022. You know, because of the huge real estate crash that they had, like ours in 2018. You know, so there's a lot of things going on and people aren't aware of. So when they threw out BRICS and everything else, that's all political leverage to try to threaten the value or devalue the American dollar on a global scale. Why media companies and news sources pick that up and try to blow it up to being more than that? It's all about clicks and views. It's nothing substantiated or anything stable to even say that that's ever going to happen. First, find a global power that can produce that kind of GDP. We still, by volume, GDP-wise, are still above and beyond any other country that comes close to us by double.
Yo, Ronin.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say appreciate y'all for letting me come up, man. You've been an inspiration to everybody,
problem,
man.
Now, I know it's late over there, you guys. So I believe me, I know I started this live late, but I still had to do it on May the 6th because this is my anniversary day. So I had to do it, and I didn't want to push it out to the 6th of you guys. It's the 6th here. So yeah, I appreciate you guys joining the live, Style. Appreciate you, bro. So if you got to go, appreciate you. Shout out to Style King Marco. If you guys don't know, that brother's also a traveler. Subscribe to his channel if you can. Much appreciate you, bro.
All right, bro. I see you on the other end.
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right, salute.
Again, the live is on open panel. I did pin the link to the chat. If you'd like to come up and say, you know, as far as the conversation, we're on expat life and where you're considering on moving, why you decided to choose that country, how it fits into your lifestyle and the things that you're looking to do in your retirement or digital nomad life. But David, we still haven't gotten a solid location from you, bro.
I mean, the world is a big place. Every day I'm finding a particular place that piques my interest. Then I start looking at the visa requirements and I get turned off. Like,
okay.
I was looking at
requirement. What country specifically, and what's turning off about those requirements in those countries?
I was looking at one particular country in Southeast Asia I was checking out was Laos. And you know, I met somebody up here, nice girl, whatever. And just asked her a particular question, and she told me she was from Laos. So I asked her a question, and we started talking. So then I started doing research for myself. Then I found out that
announce your citizenship as American before you can get their passport or their citizenship. Yeah.
So once they said I saw that, I read that, I was like, yeah, I'm Laos is just a country I'll visit, but in terms of living,
Why would you want to get your residency visa in Laos in particular versus a surrounding nation, maybe Thailand, or even here in the Philippines, which is real easy to get, and just travel back and forth to Laos? What makes you think that you need one in that country specifically? You get what I mean?
Right. You're absolutely right. And I'm just, to be honest with you, I think one of the reasons why I looked at certain countries based on because how far away it is, because I'm trying to get away. Like I'm looking at the flight time and I'm like, oh, Pookie's and Remy is going to sit on the plane for 13, 14 hours. So I'm trying to go as far away as possible.
Thailand, what you mean? They'll fly over here. Laos is right in the same area. I mean, the same thing. My first hop was 17 hours and then another hour from Thailand to here. I mean, from Taiwan to here. So hour and a half. So 17 and a half hour flight just to get to the Philippines. People come here. They talk about the Philippines. They still come to Thailand. That time limit is not a disseminator to stopping Pookies from coming somewhere. But the whole thing is, why are you letting Pookies dictate where you go and where you don't go? They don't travel in the same areas that you go, right? You're not hanging where Pookies are, right? I'm bougie. I'm gonna never run into a Pookie unless I run into those areas. Hey, babe. Okay, front door service. You just come through the door and bring me some drinks because she knows it's hot up in here.
Yeah, I love this guy.
Did you hear me ask?
I love this guy. Brother Ronin, OG style. No, but absolutely. It's because I could acclimate really quickly. I have no issues of acclimating to different cultures and surroundings. I have no problem with that. It's just I think I've been in the States so long, but like I said, I'm taking care of my parents, so anything I do is for them because I don't have no kids. I don't have anything like that going on. I have a lot of money saved up, investment saved up, so I just want to travel somewhere, see what it's like, fill it out a bit. I know the girls that comes and goes. They don't worry about that, but want to buy property and just have my parents down there, and I'll be working up here, and I would just send money down there for them and make sure they straight. Because once they straight, I'm good. That's the main objective for me at this point.
Is that me or you digitizing yourself out? Only AARP agents. What expats? What? Come on, Black Cleaner, hit the link, man. What you trying to talk? What you trying to say? Everybody ain't got to be now AARP guy in order to travel or to expat. Look at my boy, Financial Frontier. He ain't no AARP agent. He ain't nowhere close to that age. Let me see what my one of my favorite trolls are doing here. Before you, wife, you were spreading every night. You were spending every night in Makati, bro. I was never in Makati, bro. I never went to Makati. When I got here, he didn't beat. He's a troll, but a friend at the same time. He likes to give people a hard time. But anyway, no, I never spent the night in Makati. I stayed in BGC the whole time. My 30 days of being acclimated before I flew out to the province. Never been to Makati yet. BGC is my spot. So nope, you're wrong. Right, Black Cleaner, you and your family could come to Panama. Panama's Planet Cocoon. Oh, I know what you mean. I've been to Panama. I was on the channel side, not the ocean side. But Panama's nice. But they use the American dollar, so it's kind of confusing. I know they have rates that are kind of reasonable based on their exchange rate with the American, but it's a 1-for-1, I thought. Panama dollar to the American dollar. So kind of take advantage or geo arbitrage. I don't know how much that is working out for them. You know what I mean? So Black Cleaner, hit the link, man. Let me know what is the advantage of being in Panama beside the culture more so than the value of the dollar, because it's damn near a 1-for-1 exchange, I thought, on your currency there. I don't know if it's me. Is my internet slow? Because I'm hearing kind of like a sketchy digital kind of sound. I am in the province, so I won't blame it on anybody else but myself.
I think it's hold on.
Black Cleaner, are you there? Is your exchange rate? Oh, here it comes. I see it. Salute to my boy, the Black Cleaner. Welcome to the live.
What's going on?
And, your choices of why you chose a country or why you're choosing a country, how it fits into your lifestyle, culturally, economically, and everything else. So the question on the table right now, Black Cleaner, when I was in Panama, it was damn near a 1-for-1 exchange for what the Panamanian money to American money, because there's more international banking there. So what's one of some of the advantages of being in Panama with that kind of a exchange rate? Economically?
Well, the cost of living, because really the price of living as in Panama is like living in 1983 US, where you could get on the bus for 25 cents. You could, get on the train for 55 cents. You can get a meal for about $5. Now they do have American, if you're trying to live like an American, then, they do have all of the American standards and American luxuries here. And of course, the American prices go
Right.
along with that. But if you live in, like any normal local here, then, and of course everybody knows that the average median income of a local Panamanian is about $600 to $800 a month. So the cost of living for them is about that as well.
Yeah, that's what's the average rent there? Because I don't know if you were in the room when I showed you what the average in the Philippines income wise is.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Well,
Maybe.
you have the local Panamanian apartments where they have, the Panamanian standard of living, and then you have the American standard of living apartments. So your American standard of living apartments will start around $700-800 a month. But
how much are you getting for that? $700-800 for how many bedrooms?
that's a 1-bedroom. That's American standard. That's what all of the American standards, hot water, everything. You know what I'm saying? But you live like a Panamanian, $100 a month. But you ain't getting no hot water with that.
Not even the ones in the shower where you turn it on and turn it off?
You can get the suicide shower where you can go to the Aces hardware store and go buy the ones that got the electric heater on the shower nozzle. Yes, but in terms of it coming in, like when you walk in, there's a hot and cold supply line coming into the bathroom. No, there's only going to be one cold water coming into the bathroom, and that's all you're going to get. And you can use a point of use fixture in order to change that or upgrade that.
So to spin this question that JM asked, he's like, why would you try to live in a third world country in a substandard area versus living higher because your value of your dollar or more?
Well, some people want to stretch their dollars. Like prime example, just what I was just saying. If I can get me an apartment for $300 a month, and then just go pay, a one-time, go down to Aces Hardware and pay, one time for some upgrades and update my apartment, then I'm good. Versus, okay, you pay the $700-800 or you got people out here who's paying, market rent, $1,700-1,800 a month in Panama to live like the Joneses, where if they had that same apartment in America, they'd be paying $3,000 to $4,000 a month for that apartment. Cause they got the nice, gym, social area or gym downstairs with the infinity pool, steam room, sauna, the concierge, all of that. You're pretty much living in like a 5-star hotel and you're paying $1,800 a month. But you got some people who's like, hey, my income, I'm only getting Social Security or I'm only getting disability. So all I'm getting is $2,000 a month. So it's easier for them to go get the $300 to $400 apartment and, and a substandard living and just pay for the minor upgrades to feel comfortable.
I got a question. Was that me or was that you that was breaking up? Because it was like digital.
It must be it's clear on my end. I guess you would have to check the replay to know that.
Okay. That was sounding real messy. I don't know if everybody understood that. It could be me because I have slow internet in the Philippines sometimes. Depends on the day and how they feel. Sometimes they'll turn it off. Like last night, they turned off our internet for no apparent reason, but just to turn it off. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do this live today. So I think some people had the jet. Yeah, David had the jet, and then I think Financial Frontier had the jet too. So yeah, let me know if that was me. You heard him good? Okay, then it's me. I must be getting real digital. Am I breaking up right now, you guys?
No, we hear you clear.
All right. So economically, what is the exchange rate right now for your do they call it the Panamanian dollar or peso? What do they call it?
It's dollars because we use American dollars 1 for 1. They do have the Bolivar, but that's coins.
Okay.
But in terms of the bills, when you exchange, you're using American dollars for bills.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because when I went down there, I didn't even bother to exchange. It was just a 1 for 1. So But you're right. The food was cheap where we were. It wasn't really, really expensive. Then we went to the casino, I guess downtown off of the Boulevard area.
Yeah.
We only stayed for about 4 days. We didn't stay long.
Yeah, they got plenty of casinos because, of course, the JW Marriott has its own casino. The Hilton has its own casino. I think the Hotel Ryu and the Crown Plaza Hotel, they all got casinos. So that's what as we was just talking about, the AARP crowd, the
Hey,
the retirees.
what's wrong with AARP, man? You get a lot of advantages. You can book hotels and cancel at the last minute. Them insurances are helpful, man.
I'm not dissing the AARP crowd. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm 49. I haven't hit it yet. So,
Hey,
but that's what you.
I'm telling you, you're gonna change your mind about AARP. You're gonna be like, God damn, I'm happy I got AARP. Tell me, you think that? Hey, ain't no joke, man.
I'm just saying. There's a lot of, I mean, pretty much because who was complaining about the passport pookies, and he was trying to move away from the passport pookies.
Oh, that was David. But like I said, but if you don't travel in those circles, you're never gonna run into them. So it doesn't matter. It's only the reputation that they might leave. But depending on your inner circle and the circle that you're involved in, they're gonna say excluding you. 95% of the time, you ever hear a conversation when they say, obviously not you, but a lot of those people that come in here, blah, blah, blah. That's how the conversation starts. Not you, but others. You know what I mean? So if you're not in that circle, you're not in that circle, and nobody's going to look at you sideways. I never get looked at sideways. It's just, like I said, they're just making it harder on a global projective way. The louder people always get the attention, even though a lot of positive people could be moving around. It's the ones that make the most noise that are getting the attention, and in a negative way, not a positive way. You know?
Understood.
Shout out to Passport Privilege, who says, do you think Black Americans go to Venezuela right now? Will they be safe? That is questionable. Do they want to mess with Americans right now and give themselves a black eye when Americans are offering to fix their infrastructure when it comes to their oil industry? Do they want to interrupt what's going on right now with Iran, where they're getting the benefit of American oil and oil production and producing? Because guess what's happening while the Gulf is closed, while the straits are closed? A lot of those oil tankers are going around the Horn of Africa and coming right into America, right into the Gulf region between Louisiana and Texas, and filling up their oil tankers there and going back across. So is oil stopping? It's just a little bit harder to get to us, but they're still producing oil and America's still benefiting. Hence why I think when they took Venezuela, they already knew this was coming down the pipe. They did it on purpose. Iran is the only contributing factor to how Venezuela was able to take that thick, rich oil and break it down to where it could be produced and reused on a global scale. Guess who's the only other one that has champagne oil like that aside for Iran that's close to Venezuela? America. Right out of the Permian Basin there in Texas. So, I mean, both go hand in hand. Iran is really a target of opportunity because of Israel, but it's not something that we even care about. We don't need their oil. We don't need nothing from them. We are self-producing. The only thing that affects is the global economy when it comes to how much per barrel the oil costs. But we can produce our own, and it's smarter to sell it on the open market than to keep it local. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say, because the question was, what he was asking about black guys going there.
Yeah, Black Americans.
Okay. Well, key thing is this. Okay, you got your Black Americans that will go there, and it's an opportunity for them to be able to, build and invest in the commerce, because you have, some that will actually go over there and do that and take advantage of, the cost of living and the cheaper opportunities. And they would, like to deal with us a lot more because we are the ones who prime the engine. I mean, I was just talking about that on my live yesterday when they was talking about how now Colombia is turning a lot of the so-called passport bros away. But when everybody was afraid to go to Colombia because that was cartel country, everybody was when people thought about Colombia, they thought about Pablo Escobar, so nobody wanted to touch over there. It was us that was going over there initially. Now that everybody, we was the ones who showed the world that Colombia was a great place to be, and it was safe. Now you start to see an influx of other countries going over there, and now they're saying, okay, thanks a lot, black guys, we don't need you no more, especially as what David was talking about, you pookies over here, overindulging in the debauchery culture that we don't want to have on the forefront. So therefore, since you're over there doing that, especially since we're trying to build the beach in Medellin and we're trying to build this big stadium and you all are making the block hot, y'all need to go. So if the black guys is going to go over there and do what they did to Colombia, prime the engine and get everything nice and popping to show the world that what Venezuela is right for investing and right for living and retiring there, then great. Yeah, they'll accept that. But if they're going to come over there with the passport pookies and the weekend warriors, well, I got news for you. Most of the people in Colombia that are doing all of the drugging and robbing in the scopamine and all of that stuff in Colombia is the Venezuelan gangs. So you're giving them, you're going right into the lion's den where they got home court advantage. So you think you're going to go to Venezuela and be safe? Nah, if you go over there with that same mentality of, thinking that you're going to be mongering and vlogging and all of that stuff, well, guess what? You're going to see a whole lot more scopamine and robbing in Venezuela than you did see in Colombia. I guarantee you that.
I would say this, though, and this is from just me traveling to Mexico a lot, and what's happening with the cartels there from the East Coast and the West Coast side, meaning Tulum and I can't think of the name right now, versus like Puerto Vallarta, West Coast side, versus Tulum and I can't think of the goddamn name of the Mexican Cancun.
Cancun, yeah, that's a Quintana Roo area. Yeah, Cancun, Playa del Carmen. Yeah,
a lot during the pandemic. Well, obviously, there's an open order from cartel, leave the tourists alone. That's where they make their money, right? You can't go in and extort, because what was happening on the West Coast, going up and down the Baja California coast, where everybody was going before, a lot of the smaller cartels were going in and fleecing the hotels and fleecing a whole bunch of the things, the resorts, to where it made it a problem for people to want to go down there and spend their dollars. So then the cartel just made an open threat that if you touch anybody that's a tourist with this shenanigans, you're going to pay. And so if Venezuela issues something like that, and they're a little more organized with their cartels or their gangs, where they say, look, you're going to distract from the money, and that's going to cause a problem for us on a bigger scale, to stay away from the tourists, then that would make it safer. But I think Venezuela is going to be the new Dubai, to tell you the truth. Once that oil production starts kicking off, if you have land in Venezuela and you're just holding it, waiting for the development of the rest of the country, I think you're going to wind up winning, especially in the area that is going to be a bigger development portion of whatever goes on once that oil starts to flow the way it should, because it's been cut off for years. They've had embargoes and different things going on and sanctions where Venezuela could not produce a lot of oil, and their only counterparts to oil was China and Iran. Now, China got cut off when we took over Venezuela. China was kind of getting in there too. They were starting to give them naval support and naval armament. When they took Venezuela, that got ended by China. And now with Iran, the whole thing with Iran and their oil in order to break down the heavier, thicker crude,
yeah,
that cuts everything off when it comes to that. So Depending on how the security is set up and the country is set up and how smart the cartels are and the gangs are down there, tourism should be something that's off limits. And bring that home is, if you guys recall, there was a lady going down there for some kind of surgery, black lady, and a couple of brothers went in the wrong neighborhood. And obviously they thought they were Haitians because they had dreads and everything else, not Americans. Well, when they messed up and messed with those Americans, you saw what the cartel did, right? The members of whatever cartel took those people and kidnapped them, thinking they were the Haitians and not Americans. When it was found out, not only did the cartel release those Americans, they took the 5 dudes or 6 dudes that were involved, had them tied up and waiting for the Americans because they did not want us to go in there and start ripping through all their businesses.
You talking about in Mexico, right?
I'm talking about just strictly across the border in Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But I'm saying that I don't see that going on in Venezuela, especially because you still got, of course, because of the strike with Maduro and all of that, you still have Maduro supporters that are still waiting to disrupt a lot of things once things start to get started. So I do see, some of them, doing a lot of the disruption to the tourists there in Venezuela.
You could say that up until the money starts to flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
money.
Of course.
Nobody got no hard feelings, no matter what side of the table you were on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If America comes in and does what they need to do in their oil industry and opens up the floodgates for everybody to start making money again, not just the corporations going down there to help revitalize that industry, yeah, ain't nobody gonna have no hard feelings because Maduro never would have got that done. The doors would still be closed.
Well, the key is what you're saying. The optimum word is the money flow. Where is the money flowing? Because like here in Panama, okay, they have the Panama Canal, but the government, they don't disseminate the Panama Canal money into the country. That goes into a chosen few government officials' pockets, and that's why a lot of the Panamanian locals don't like the Panamanian government.
Right, and you would think with Panama having not only the banking industry but that canal right there, that Panama would be thriving. The people would be thriving in some way, but somehow that government was able to lock everything down and keep it away from the people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. How are they doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what it's bureaucracy. That's really what it is. It's just, they are able to keep everything gray and have all of these loopholes so that they can, lock the money in to where, only a few chosen few are able to get rich off of that. So I see that going on in Venezuela as well.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, yeah, once they get it all up and running, okay, yeah, the money's going, the oil's going to be flowing, the money's going to be flowing, but the question is it going to be flowing into Venezuela, or is it going to be flowing out of Venezuela and just a couple of people are going to be taking a few bribes in order to keep the money flowing out of Venezuela?
Right. I mean, the same thing's happening here, where Philippines was supposed to be one of the fastest growing Southeast Asian countries because of the advantages of their English speaking, the development of their airports. They were going to have an underground subway system, but with all the politicians in their hands in the cookie jar so much, a lot of these companies that were going to invest in the Philippines, it's kind of pulled back because of how the money is being handled, and where some countries allow the corruption and companies look past it as long as they get the benefit. Companies are not looking past what's going on here. So it's kind of slowed down some of the development of the infrastructure here, especially in the Philippines, because I don't know if you're aware, within the last year, there's a whole flood system approval process that they went through. They had the money in the budget, and all of a sudden the money's gone, and Manila is still flooding every time there's a fucking cyclone that comes through. That system and that floodway should have been fixed by now. Mm-hmm. Now some of these politicians basically fleece the government for trillions of pesos.
Wow.
Yeah. It's 7 of them right now that have been looked at. So there's a lot of unfortunately political corruption where these politicians are literally fleecing the government.
Now, has it ever not been corrupt? Because I remember when they had the whole what was his name? Benazir Bhutto.
Right. This person right here,
going on.
She's getting impeached right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Duskaya, they're doing an impeachment trial right now, and they're voting to impeach her. And then, like he said, there's a lot of ghost projects that are going on. A lot of Chinese, not only scammers, but developers come over here. And you know what China is popular for. They'll bid one thing with a certain type of a product, and they'll give you substandard like steel and everything else, and short the project in order to put more money in their pocket. They won't give you what they bid that they're giving you just to win the project. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's going on here. So, it gets real sketchy on what projects are going to actually get built and which ones aren't, and whether they're going to be reliable builds, because they're building the hell out of BGC right now. Every square inch of that thing is condos or apartment buildings. Since the last time I came down there, it's been a 6-month break. But yeah, they're building constantly down there.
Mm.
But only
now, is a longer pole and all of that still over there, or have they changed the name to all of those areas?
No, it's still Subic Bay and Olongapo. Subic Bay and Olongapo are getting revitalized because the bases are being reopened. I think they're even digging a little bit deeper to bring in bigger ships, because that port is getting reopened, and they're actually putting Quonset huts or permanent barracks there because they're actually going to move back in. So that's getting restructured and reopened. And then on the tip of Luzon, the same island I'm on, further north past me, there's a base up there now because of the China Sea and Filipino Sea issues that are going on. And they actually have not only Marines, but Navy Marines, Filipino Marines, Japanese Marines, and us right there with our ships.
That's interesting, because Japanese is not allowed to have a military. So I saw that they had, like a small naval force, but I didn't know that they had even any Marines to be able to travel to another country. That's interesting.
Yeah, Japan's stepping it up for real. There's a lot of things militarily that Japan's starting to want to take care of on their own, and they do have a military. So, and same thing with Korea. Korea has their own Marines too, and we actually did. You're in the Navy, we did missions with South Korea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I've been to not Osan. I've been to Busan.
It makes sense. It makes sense because they're all off of islands, so you always got to function not only on land, air, and sea. So that's why they call themselves Marines, because that's what they do. It's not just one large landmass there. So, but other than that,
Marines.
If nobody else is going to join and chime in on this, I've been going for an hour and 21 minutes. I appreciate you joining the live, Black Cleaner, and everybody else that joined. If you guys can subscribe to everybody's channels. Black Cleaner has a channel. He puts out really good content. He's there as an expat in Panama, and obviously Financial Frontiers in Thailand. So yeah, hit the subscribe button for those guys. And I really appreciate everybody joining me tonight. I know it was a late live. I know that I started late, and I did that on purpose. I didn't want to catch and bump into other people that were on the live. I kind of wanted to do a late night thing with people that maybe be working the late shift, third shift, and could listen in on the information I was giving out on the Philippines in consideration with what you're looking for needs to fit your lifestyle and be in your comfort zone to give you peace. And what might fit for one doesn't fit for all. So even though you might hear great things about a place, go check it out first to see if it's your stilo or if it's something else that might be great to visit, but it's not somewhere you would want to live. before you make the decision, just on the popularity of hopefully it's not about women. I swear to God, I hope you guys aren't making decisions just on the way the women look and not on your piece. You can always bring in a woman outside of that. You get what I'm saying?
That's fact.
Find a piece first, and then you can go and get somebody and bring her there. You know, if you can't find something there locally. But other than that, I appreciate everybody. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Black Cleaner, you got any closing words? You want to shout out anything you're about to do on your channel in the next couple of days?
You said it was your anniversary date today, huh?
Yeah, for 1 year, May the 6th. I got here. I left on Cinco de Mayo, first thing in the morning. Cinco de Mayo in Texas. And by the time I landed, it was May the 6th here. So it is May the 6th here. So that's why I wanted to do the live. Literally 1 year.
Well, happy anniversary. So what are you planning? You said you was going back to the States. So when are you planning on doing that?
Once we go through the process, getting married and going through that legalized process to get her visa and everything, we'll be back in Texas.
So how long do you think that's going to take? You think it's going to be within the next year or so, or you think it's going to take longer?
About a year and a half, maybe. If we get everything right the first time and not have to go back through a process. If we get everything right the first time, probably about that time frame. But if we mess up on something or some paperwork has to be redone, you might have to get in the back of the line. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Now, there's nothing much that I want to say. I mean, yeah, tune in. I do the Black Cleaner presents Real Talk with Nate every Monday now. We'll be doing episode 6 this Monday. I wanted to talk about what's it called? Millionaire mindset or money making mindset this Monday. You know, basically some of the stuff that you was talking about earlier today about, you know, having a mindset about, you know, money, because a lot of people, like you said, they'll live overseas, but their broke mindset will follow them overseas, and then they'll just stay stuck being overseas because they're looking at the wrong things, whether it be women or whether it just be looking for a comfortable place to die. You know, that's what I see here in Panama. You have a lot of, you know, expats over here, and they get over here and all they want to do is just, you know, go to the fancy places and live like how they would have never been able to live in America. Now that it's affordable to them, or, you know, they're over here and they're living the best life. And it's like, you know, you could be doing a whole lot better things. You could be actually taking advantage of the lower cost of living to invest in real estate. You could be, you know, setting up businesses, you know, to where you have a legacy, and also it would, you know, you won't have to focus or rely on your, you know, your retirement benefits that you got coming over, whether it's your 401k, whether it's your, you can use that as a fuel in order to build another stream of income. And, you know, I get to say, oh, that's just too much work, baby. Okay, well, go ahead, live off that $3,000 a month and let's see what happens. Good luck to you. So we're going to touch base on about that.
But, you know, like I was saying here with this chart, you can't get away with it. It's just how much are you getting done after the fact? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you can live comfortably here off of 3K. But again, you should be stockpiling that, like you said, and putting it into other avenues to where the money is working for you for all the money that you do save. You should be looking for other independent income streams where you don't have to manage it. It manages itself. You know, that's why I talk about AI automation and getting things done through AI, that it works while I'm sleeping. You know, it's making money for me while I sleep, like, you know, with investments, same thing, you know. But yeah, you have time to look into those things. Even as an older individual, me being older, you wouldn't think I keep up with AI, but I have the time to do that, you know, and because of the less stress that I have on my overhead, you know. So you either apply yourself when you have free time or you don't. And the ones that don't, wind up falling short.
Yep. So that's it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I would definitely love to have you on the panel because to talk about that AI automation, because I do see the you see the ads that pop up when you're looking at the reels and stuff about people doing the AI automation investing and stuff like that. But I would definitely want to know somebody who's boots on the ground, who's actually dealing with it, to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, there's always new apps coming out every day, and the updates and all that is making it a lot more feasible to feel comfortable about allowing AI to do certain things for you and freeing up your time and getting things done a lot faster for you. But I would put it with limitations, because you don't want to put 100% of your faith in AI and not know what it's doing. Understand what it's doing before you give it control.
Of course.
Understand what the processes are before you just give it control and say, here, take all my money, but I don't even know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it. You should understand why and what it's doing before you start doing it and letting it do it for you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, guys, I appreciate you guys coming out. We're at exactly 2 hours and almost 30 minutes. Appreciate you giving me some of your time. I know it's late there on Cinco de Mayo. Half of y'all are probably drunk and bored. And I appreciate you tying in with me for at least celebrating my 1 year anniversary of being here as an expat in the Philippines. And appreciate anybody playing a replay. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, please. And if you're so kind, if you want to give, I don't mind taking a super chat or two or cash it. Other than that, thanks. Have a good day. And I am out.